All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, today we're going to continue on about Otto von Bismarck and what he did and how he basically, he himself ticked off one country so much that they basically declared war uh, on Prussia just because of him, because he ticked them off. And then we're gonna talk about like why of all the countries in Europe, France having a revolution, Germany and all these other countries having revolutions, how come the British never had one? How come they never overthrew their king and queen? So that's what we're gonna look at today. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So here's your objective. We're going to analyze Bismarck's plan to gain more territory, or examine how Britain was able to avoid a revolution, and create an argument on whether two countries can merge without any problems. Now, here is your warm up picture, okay? Now, if you notice the British person, the one who has their back towards us, um, he's not grabbing any countries on the globe. You see Germany, with their little bag. You see Russia up on top with their little bag. But Britain isn't. Why? Why do you think he's not grabbing any? Okay. Now here's a little hint thing that I said in class. Because some student mentioned something about how the British bag looks a little different than the German and the Russian bag if you really look at it. Um, but like I told them, when you go to the grocery store and you go to like where the fruits and vegetables are, which one do you pick first? Which one do you put in your bag? Okay, so think about that as you're analyzing this picture. Okay, so think about it, pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. All right, so Otto von Bismarck, the Prime Minister of Prussia. Basically, he had a foreign policy. A foreign policy is how a country basically plans to deal with other countries. Now, some countries are like, "Hey, we should have peace with this country," or "Oh, we should, try to have good trade between us and this country," So every country has a different plan of how to interact with other countries. Bismarck, however, basically said our foreign policy is war. Let's go to war with people. And he was ready to fight. And basically they took on Denmark and Austria and they kicked the crap out of both of them. All right. Now Denmark did the smart thing and said, okay, you know what? We're done. You kicked our butts. We're done. Austria, however, if you ever watched MMA, you've watched boxing, if you've ever seen somebody get knocked down, you know, and then they instead of being down and okay, waiting until they get everything situated and then standing up or some. No, if you notice when they get knocked down, they get back up really quick. Are they in the right frame of mind? No, right? So what happens right afterwards? They get knocked down again, right? That's exactly what happens to Austria. Austria's like they get knocked down, they get beat, they figure, okay, we're good now. It's like 2 years later. They're really, truly, honestly still hurting, but they figure, oh, we could take on Prussia. We're no punks. So June 14th, 1866, they take on Prussia again, and the war ends July 3rd. Less than a month later, they get their butts whipped again. Okay. Now, before in the last lesson, the Northern German Confederate group wanted to join up with Prussia, you know, because really they wanted protection. And now Prussia's like, no, 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 no. We don't join you. You join us. So do you guys want to join us? And the northern German states were like, yeah, yeah, we'll join you. Definitely join you guys. So they link up. The problem is the southern German states, they were Catholic, okay? And they really didn't want to join up with Prussia because Prussia was predominantly Protestant. And they figured, okay, these guys are going to force us to change religions and things like that. They're going to make all these laws and so that against Catholics and make laws easier and things like that good for Protestants. So they were kind of scared, like, they might do this to us. They might try to do this to us, might, because of our religion. The problem is, however, that there was another country who basically wanted to take them over, and that was France. You know, France is a Catholic country, but they were like, no, we don't want to be taken over by France. So they basically told Prussia, fine, we'll join you guys, but you got to protect us from France. So they basically linked up and joined up together. Now, in 1870, France and Prussia basically had this big old argument about who was the legitimate next one in line to be the king of Spain. Because back in the day, guys, I don't know if you've seen the web of like it's called hierarchy, or hierarchy. Uh, Basically, like who's the next king of Spain, England, France, things like that. Because you have to remember, back in the day, in like the 1000s, 1200s, and things like that, in order to maintain peace between two countries, sometimes a king would have his like son, marry the daughter of another king in another country. You know, that's how they maintain friendships and not like we're going to go to war with each other, things like that. Um, and then their kid would be king of, let's say the dad's side. So then they had kids and they had kids, blah, 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 right? Now, let's say what along the line, the king has no kids, they die. Now it's like, well, who's going to take over? Who's legitimately the next one in line in the family history to be king or queen? And they had to look at the whole going backward and be like, oh, well, they had a second brother, and that person, oh, well, no, he had no kids and he died already. Darn it. Okay, let's look back a little bit more. And it was a hornet's nest of like looking through this family history of like this person married this person and they had kids and they're technically the next in line, la la la. It was craziness, pure craziness. So Prussia is like, um, yeah, uh, this person's next in line to be king of Spain. France was like, no, it's this person. Now Bismarck, he sees a chance to really get under the skin of France, and he's basically egging him on, poking the bear. Like, yeah, yeah, come on, no, you won't do that to us. Come on. And France is getting really, really upset with him. And he eventually got under their skin enough to where this guy right here, Napoleon III, declares war on Prussia on July 13th, 1870. Now, the thing is, France is a major power at this time in Europe. Okay, Britain's the other major power. But the thing is, Prussia is very powerful and they know how to fight. And they basically kick France's butt. They beat him here, they beat him there. They actually come into French territory a couple times. And on September 2nd, 1870, they basically did what like nobody thought could have been possible. At Sedan, the Prussian army captures the entire French army. And not only that, they capture the ruler, Napoleon III. That dude right there you see in that picture. Now, again, if you didn't hear me, they didn't capture a regiment or a platoon. They captured the entire French army. That's ridiculous. So they basically had to surrender, okay, on January 28th, 1871. And they had to pay back basically $5 billion worth. Okay. Now, students said in class, well, what are francs? Francs is basically what they call dollars. We call them dollars. Other countries call, like, Mexico, they call it pesos. In Canada, they call it loonies. And so, sorry about that. I had to sneeze. So francs is what the French call their money. Okay, so they basically had to pay Prussia $5 billion, and on top of that, they had to give up some land to Prussia. Now Prussia's feeling good. They're like, yeah, we took on France. We kicked their butt. This and that. France is like, okay, yeah, keep talking your stuff. Don't worry, keep talking. But we're gonna get our revenge. Maybe not today, tomorrow, 10 years from now. We don't know when, but we're going to get revenge on you. Here's a little foreshadow. They will. And even better foreshadowing. Because of this revenge, it's going to lead to other events. And we're talking wars. Now, January 18th, 1871, Bismarck basically gathers like 600 German princes, nobles, and generals, and gets them to meet up at the Palace of Versailles. Okay, now they go to one particular area called the Hall of Mirrors in Versailles, which is that picture you see right there. Okay, and yes, like I told the students in class, that is legitimate gold. Okay, that's not fake. That's not like plated gold over this and that. No, that's legit gold. And one student said in class, "Oh, I would jack that statue right there." It's like, okay, you do realize that like a donut looking size of gold is heavy as hell. You know, it's not just like you could just pick it up. It's heavy. It's heavy. So good luck trying to take one of those things. Okay. Now the reason he has all these guys at the Mirror of Versailles is because William the First, remember, he's the king of Prussia. They are, since they united all the German states and stuff like that, they kicked the crap out of France. You know, they basically proclaim him now, instead of king of Prussia, Kaiser of the Second German Empire. Okay, so I kind of had to explain it to the class today that yes, he is still the king of Prussia, but now he controls more territory. They unified Germany, and now he is the king of all of Germany. Now, uh, some years back, a student asked me, "Well, why the second?" Well, because the first kingdom of Germany was actually established years ago. It was during the medieval times, and that was the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, um, so then because he unites the German Empire, says we are the second German Empire. Okay, now the Prussian monarchy and the army, they achieved the unity of um, Germany, right? And with this, with all that territory, with all that industry, all those resources, and the military strength, Germany becomes one of the strongest powers in Europe, basically rivaling uh, Britain. They're now above France because they just showed the world they kick the crap out of them. They can take them anytime. So now they're basically looked at as equals with Britain, and that's huge. Now, speaking of Britain, um, you guys have noticed, like, why didn't they get rid of their king and queen? Why didn't the poor people, rise up and get rid of them? Because again, the king and queen are still around to this day. They don't have the same power that they did back in the day, but they're still around. They still do have some power, but nothing nowhere near the same as the king and queen during the 1800s. Now, how did they avoid it? It was very simple, to be honest. They basically looked at other countries and said, you know what? All those people in those other countries where they overthrew the king and queen and some of that, they just wanted a little something. They were miserable, they were upset. and the king or queen could have just gave them some stuff, and that would have been the end of it. So in 1832, when the pressure was kind of building up a little bit, Britain basically said, "All right, if you're a guy, you can vote. It's not just for the rich people anymore. Um, a lot of guys, majority of guys, can now vote." So that kind of lowered the anger and the steam in the people for a while. But then it came the 1850s, 1860s, where they started to get a little more upset because, hey, yeah, we can vote, but we don't really have much of a say in what's going on in our country. So a social and political reform was done, saying, hey, yeah, you're right. You, the low people, the poor people, you guys should have more of a say so what happens in our country and the politics and policies and things like that. And that, again, lowered down the anger, the hatred, things like that. Um, Now, the Irish people, however, were like, well, what about us? You're doing all this stuff for the English. What about us? We want more say so. We want to say things of how our country should be ran because, again, Britain controlled Ireland. And basically, the British were like, shut up, Irish. Shut up. We're talking to our people. We still control you. We own you. So hush, go away. You know, Now, the thing is, um, like I said in class, what's one thing that could really, if a bunch of poor people were really upset, what could the government do to kind of ease their minds, calm them down? What could they give them to, make people kind of forget things? And a student just straight said, money. I was like, yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what happened uh, later on in the 1800s. Due to the economic growth of the middle class, um, the thought of a revolution kind of died out. People were now making pretty good money doing their jobs. They could now have extra money to where they can go on vacation, they can spend it on this or that. And when people are typically happy with how life is going, are they going to care about who's king or queen and things like that? No, right? Because hey, they're gonna enjoy life. They want to do this, buy a house, and you know, go on cruises and go on vacation and be able to send their kids to school and do all this stuff. That idea of revolution, how we should get rid of these kings and queens, that goes in the back burner. Okay, all because the government raised, yeah, hey, everyone should be getting more money for their job. That's all it took. All right, so here's my question to you. So remember, William the First is King of Prussia, Kaiser of the Second German Empire. So he's the top dude. Otto von Bismarck, the guy who basically ticked off France and was able to fight off all these other countries, he's second in charge. My question to you is this: do you think he's going to be like, you know what? I should be king. I should use the military and take over the king. Do you think he's gonna do that, or do you think he's gonna be like, you know what? I'm good at where I'm at. I like what I do. You know. So yeah, no, I don't want to be king. I just want to keep doing what I do. What do you think? Do you think he's gonna try to topple the Kaiser, the top king of Germany, or do you think he's gonna be like, no, no, I like what I do. I'm gonna keep doing what I do. All right. So what do you think? All right. So again, I know you don't know, but just take an educated guess. All right. So once you've answered this question, you're done with this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. So with that being said, guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later. All right.